To pass the time, I provide substitute training online. To my surprise, the student is my own husband, who ardently declares, as long as my wife is happy, what does it matter if I play the role of a substitute? What if there's a white moonlight? It doesn't change the fact that I've married her. As long as the imitation is perfect, the substitute can rise to prominence. I don't understand. Am I not the one who has always been the substitute? I have diligently played the role of a substitute. Married to Luo Yuan for 2 years, I have always adhered to my role, faithfully imitating his white moonlight's every habit. However, recently, I have let things slide. Since my pocket money has accumulated to an 8-figure sum, I plan to continue deceiving Luo Yuan after spending a bit more. Seeing other substitutes tread carefully, I decided to share my extensive experience with more people and benefit society. I meticulously compiled a comprehensive list of essential tips for substitutes and published it online. Unexpectedly, shortly after posting, I received a message from an unfamiliar account. "Hello, I came across your post by chance and am deeply impressed. Could you teach me how to be an excellent substitute?" I was puzzled, and the person continued, "I can pay for the lessons. You set the price." Actually, since marrying Luo Yuan, I have never lacked money, nor do I need extra income. But to pass the time, after some back and forth, I agreed to his request. "All right, please give me a contact method." I eagerly prepared to impart my lifelong knowledge. He promptly sent me a WeChat ID. Upon glancing at it, the number seemed vaguely familiar, as if I had seen it somewhere before. A search revealed that the ID was in my contact list. When I saw the note, my eyes widened. The name was unmistakably Luo Yuan. Isn't this my own husband? Why would he be learning this? I could scarcely believe it and repeatedly confirmed with the person. "Are you sure this is the correct number?" "Yes." "Are you really sure?" "I am very sure." I stared at the chat, lost in thought. Could it be that Luo Yuan regrets marrying me, the substitute? Does he wish to reinvent himself and embrace his white moonlight? Although our marriage lacks the sweetness of romance, I have been continuously provided with a steady stream of money. Moreover, I haven't yet had my fill, and I don't wish to relinquish my position. I must stop him. After much contemplation, I created a new account to add him. To probe further, I tentatively inquired, "From your business card, your conditions seem good. Why would you want to be someone else's substitute?" He replied instantly, "Of course, it's for love." I advised him, "Young man, the allure of a white moonlight is devastating. It will never be forgotten. Being a substitute has no future. Be cautious." Yet he resolutely retorted, "As long as my wife is happy, what does it matter if I play the role of a substitute? What if there's a white moonlight? It doesn't change the fact that I've married her. As long as the imitation is perfect, the substitute can rise to prominence." I was stunned. Luo Yuan surely hasn't committed bigamy? Then, his wife is me, right? My brain was working fast. 2 years ago, Luo Yuan found me and said that he could give me what I wanted and I could give him what he wanted. So he invited me to marry him. Before my family fell into decline, I had a lot of interactions with him, so we were not completely unfamiliar. Even if we hadn't fallen into decline, he and I might have been married. So I looked at the shining Rolls Royce behind him and nodded without hesitation. At that time, I thought he gave me money and I gave him the intimacy of a pirated white moonlight. Did I misunderstand? After thinking about it, I pretended to send a message to Luo Yuan, "Seeing that you are so conscious, you must be good to your wife, right?" Luo Yuan was silent. It took a long time before he replied, "She likes cold people, so I dare not be too considerate." My face was full of black question marks. Is this why he always has a dead face? He rushed and sent several more messages. "What's wrong? Is there anything wrong with this? Her senior in college was like this, and I have been working hard to learn. Will this backfire, teacher?" My mouth twitched as I typed, "Do you want your wife to be cold to you?" Of course not. Isn't that right?" I cursed in my heart. I remembered the look in his eyes when he looked at me every day, so cold that it seemed as if he was going to become a monk in the next second. It made me deeply doubt my personal charm. "Today, I want everything I lost. Take it back." I typed quickly, "Then in your first class, learn how to be considerate of your wife." He was puzzled. "Aren't we learning the skills of a substitute, teacher?" I wanted to give him a big fight. As a singles player, I haven't even had a heart-thumping male guest, so where can I get a substitute? I couldn't help but ask, "Are you still going to learn?" He kept saying, "Yes, I am learning." "Teacher, what should I do next?" Seeing him humbly asking for advice, I suddenly became playful. "Go give your wife a foot massage first." The arrogant Luo Yuan has never served anyone before. Not to mention foot massage, he rarely even serves tea and water to people. Will he refuse this suggestion? As I was thinking, he sent a message, "But will she find me annoying? I feel like she doesn't like me touching her, especially physical contact." Me. "Brother, you stay 8 feet away from me when you sleep at night. You said I don't like you touching me." When I was angry, he continued, "At night, I have to endure even intimate behavior, which is uncomfortable, teacher." Me. At night? Endure? Is he so far away from me because? Thinking of some 20 waist, my face instantly turned red. No way. Luo Yuan chattered like he had opened a box of chatterboxes. "Teacher, you don't know, the woman you love is lying next to you, but I am in so much pain. Teacher, let me tell you, on the night of my wedding, I actually learned a lot of things, I really want to." "Teacher, have you ever heard of?" Looking at the words on the screen, my ears turned red. He looked serious. How? He was thinking about these things in his heart. Facing the color quotes that kept popping up, I was so embarrassed that I couldn't help but shout out loud, Luo Yuan. As soon as the voice fell, I suddenly realized something. Luo Yuan was still at home, wasn't it exposed? Sure enough, the door of the study upstairs slowly opened. Luo Yuan walked out slowly, still with a cold face. What are you doing? Me. You were not like that just now. Men, a species that is good at disguising themselves. I cut out the chat interface and looked up at Luo Yuan. What are you doing upstairs? His expression changed, and there was an imperceptible panic between his eyebrows. But he quickly suppressed his emotions, frowned slightly, and said in a cold voice, work. He. You are obviously learning how to be an excellent stand-in, but you are still making dirty jokes. I pretended not to know. Oh, Luo Yuan squinted at me and was about to turn around and go back to the study. I called him, hubby. His steps were unsteady, and his whole body swayed before he could stabilize his body, and then he stood straight and stiffly in the same place, like a human stand. After a long time, he turned his head mechanically. What's wrong? I secretly suppressed my laughter and touched my neck pretending to be troubled. Nothing, just my neck is a little sore. I want to go outside for a massage. Luo Yuan turned around, his expression seemed to be in great entanglement and struggle. After a while, he finally made up his mind and walked towards me. Where is it? Sore. Let me see. I lifted my hair and pointed casually. Here. The next second, I felt my neck being gently rubbed by a slightly cool fingertip. He kneaded it with a little cautious tentativeness. Here. I nodded, completely relaxed, and began to enjoy it. I didn't expect that Luo Yuan, the young master, was actually proficient in massage techniques. This strength, this feel. How much have I missed in the past 2 years? I couldn't help but turn my head to look at him. He looked very calm, as if doing business. He even raised his eyebrows at me. What, are you uncomfortable? I shook my head quickly. After Luo Yuan returned to the study room with a serious face, my trumpet was bombarded. Teacher, I found that you are right. Today is the first time I have had physical contact with her for such a long time, that is, massage. She is really soft and fragrant. I almost couldn't help but press down just now. I wanted to press her waist and her. Oh, I'm off topic. What should I do next? Teacher, please teach me. Me. Didn't I just press my neck and shoulders? LSP is actually next to me. I knocked my head, trying to knock out all the color waste. Then I typed, the core of the stand-in is, of course, imitation. Only when you imitate the essence can you be qualified. It's not that I want to make fun of him. I just want to know who he is. A stand-in for. He replied quickly, I have been trying to imitate her college senior, but it seems to have no effect recently. She almost ignores me. Is there any detail that I haven't noticed? I was sweating like a bean. Is there a possibility that you have the wrong person? After all, how could I not know that I have such a college senior as my moonlight? He didn't believe it. Impossible. I saw her handing a love letter to that senior with my own eyes. After that, he excitedly sent a photo. Look, this is the scene at that time. I clicked it and took a look. There are 2 people in the photo, one is me, and the other is a boy I don't know. Wow, isn't this a photo of me handing out flyers part-time in college? I didn't know whether to say Luo Yuan was stupid or brainless. How could he not see that it was a pink flyer? He kept bombarding me. This senior got married right after graduation. My wife could only cry silently in the corner when she attended their wedding. He sent me another photo. Yes, it was me again. In the photo, the wedding scene was bustling with people, and I was holding onto a pillar in the corner to wipe my tears. At first glance, it was indeed very sad. I recalled that it seemed to be the wedding of a senior in our club. That day, chili oil splashed into my eyes. I went to the toilet to rinse for a long time, and my eyes were red. After coming out, it was still a little stinging, so I found a place to hold my eyes and rub them. Then, teacher, can you understand? I feel so sorry for my wife. She was heartbroken in that fruitless relationship. I must be a perfect substitute. I want to take my wife's love and make her stop crying. Looking at the messages that kept popping up on the screen, I just felt a headache. I tried my best to remind him, why don't you ask your wife? What if there's a misunderstanding? He hesitated, but how do I ask? She won't be happy. Me, I promise, she won't be unhappy. After my emotional and logical persuasion, he finally agreed. Okay, then I'll go ask. Teacher, I believe you, don't embarrass me. At the end, he didn't forget to threaten fiercely, if she hates me from now on, you will no longer be my teacher. Me. Actually, I don't need to be a teacher. When the door lock clicked from upstairs, I quickly threw my phone aside and pretended to lie on the sofa comfortably. I saw Luo Yuan walking towards me with an unnatural pace. I looked up at him with a puzzled look on my face. He just sat down slowly and deliberately cleared his throat. I didn't ask, I just watched him quietly. He obviously didn't expect me not to ask, and he didn't know how to start. It was quiet for a minute. He moved his butt, as if he was sitting on pins and needles. I glanced at him, still didn't speak. After another 2 minutes, he began to scratch his head. 5 minutes later, he finally took out his mobile phone in a very pretentious way. Hey, what, Zhao Lan, his company seems to be raising funds? I remember the name, Zhao Lan. He is the marriage partner of my senior sister. I blinked in confusion. Who is Zhao Lan? Luo Yuan was visibly stunned. His always cold eyebrows showed a little confusion. Your college senior, don't you remember? I shook my head firmly. I don't know him. Luo Yuan's eyebrows jumped, took out his mobile phone, and swiped a few times, seemingly inadvertently. Then he said calmly, "Well, maybe I got it mixed up." I watched him get up, turn around, and go upstairs. In one go. He tried his best to suppress his emotions, but his brisk steps revealed his excellent mood at the moment. When he closed the door, my phone started to vibrate. "Teacher, you are amazing. You..." "No. I just asked, and my wife said she didn't know that person. Does this mean that it was all a misunderstanding before?" I smiled coldly. It was indeed a misunderstanding. "But, who made you my disciple? If I don't teach you my unique skills, how can I be worthy of the title of teacher?" I replied calmly, "Even if it's a misunderstanding. But didn't you say before that she ignored you? It is very likely that her white moonlight is someone else." Luo Yuan, the chatterbox, finally fell silent. I was not in a hurry, so I simply put the phone aside and waited patiently for his reply. Unexpectedly, there was no message. What I got was a loud and rapid WeChat phone ring. Very clear. Oh no, it was deafening in my ears. I picked up the phone, and the name on the screen was Luo Yuan. My heart was pounding, and when I was trying to turn off the sound in a hurry, the door of the study suddenly opened. Luo Yuan leaned out and looked at me. His eyes slowly moved down and fell on my phone with the screen on. At that moment, my brain was running like a turbo engine. At the critical moment, I quickly turned on the mute button. Then I put the phone to my ear and pretended to talk. "Hello? Dazhuang, yeah, I'm fine." While I was acting, I secretly looked at Luo Yuan's reaction. But his eyes didn't stay on me for too long. After just one glance, he turned his back and went to the bedroom. I breathed a sigh of relief. The call was automatically hung up by the system because it had not been connected for a long time. I just saw Luo Yuan's message, "Teacher, are you available to answer the phone? I found a safe place. How about we talk over the phone?" Just now someone called her. "His name is Dazhuang. It must be a man, right? Teacher, can you help me analyze it?" Her expression seemed a little strange just now. Could it be her white moonlight? I was impressed by his imagination. Don't be too nervous. According to my experience, it's better to ask the person involved. Maybe her white moonlight is Daniel Wu. Luo Yuan seemed a little speechless. "Teacher, I really believe in you, but don't bullshit." I didn't. "If you have to talk about the white moonlight, then it must be Daniel Wu." I was very unconvinced. "If you don't believe it, why don't you find an opportunity to test it?" He half believed it and half doubted it. "Oh, tell me more." I started to play dirty tricks, tried to imitate different types of men first and test which type of men she reacts to. He sent a blushing face expression. "Reaction? I'm afraid it's hard to test." Shy. I slowly typed a question mark. "Can you drive on this broken road?" TSK, I didn't expect you to be such a Luo Yuan. I simply ignored it and continued to practice. "Well, I'll list a few common types for you first, and you can try them one by one. Domineering CEO type, clingy milk dog type, cold and abstinent type, gentle and loyal dog type." A flash of inspiration came to me, and I added, "Oh, add a silly and sweet type." It's best to switch every day and observe for at least 2 cycles. When trying different types, remember to show your love. It feels so good to carry private goods. Luo Yuan sent a question mark. "Are you a serious person?" "Teacher." I asked him back, "Have I made any mistakes?" Masters are all about using strange tactics, understand? He was silent for a while, probably struggling repeatedly on the edge of principles and bottom lines. Finally, he compromised. "Teacher, then I believe you." The next day, Luo Yuan had a seizure. In the early morning, I was dating 5 men in my sleep. Suddenly I heard an anxious and angry voice, "Wake up. I order you to open your eyes immediately, do you hear me?" He said it sincerely, so I opened my eyes in a daze. I saw Luo Yuan standing by my bed in a neat suit. Seeing me wake up, he raised a wicked smile. With 3 points of unruly, 2 points of coldness and 1 point of carelessness. "Very good, woman." Me. I opened the quilt in confusion and sat up from the bed. "What did you say?" Due to my action, the silk nightgown suspenders on my body slid down my shoulders, revealing a piece of snow-white skin. Luo Yuan's eyes narrowed immediately. "Woman, you are playing with fire." Me. While my CPU was loading rapidly, Luo Yuan had already pulled his tie very restlessly, leaned over, and supported his hands on my side. His breath brushed my ears. "You lit the fire yourself, put it out yourself." Then he. Me. Until breakfast time, I was completely offline and didn't understand what happened in the morning. I could only habitually open my phone and try to read some short jokes to go with my meal. Suddenly, I noticed the WeChat message reminder. Just as I was about to click it, Luo Yuan came over and said coldly, "I'm enough to satisfy you. Right?" When I was full of question marks, he had already turned off my phone screen without saying anything. "You are mine. I want you to have only me in your eyes. I don't allow you to send messages to other men." Me. As he said that, the butler on the side had taken the initiative to come forward and took the phone from my hand. The moment the butler touched my hand, Luo Yuan's narrow eyes flashed a cold light, and he said angrily, "Who gave you the courage to touch her?" "Butler and me." Luo Yuan noticed my shocked expression and gritted his teeth. "Damn, you annoying little goblin. It's over. Luo Yuan has been possessed. I'm scared. I can't stand it." I stood up trembling. "Actually, I'm not very hungry. I'll leave first." Luo Yuan reached out and grabbed my arm, smiling evilly and wildly. "Do you think you can run away?" Help! Help! I was trembling with fear until noon, and I finally got my phone back. I realized that I went to bed early last night and missed a lot of messages from Lu Yuan. Teacher, I'll try the domineering CEO type tomorrow. But I don't know how to do this, can you tell me briefly? Seeing that I ignored him, he sent me a few pictures and TXT documents of several e-books after a while. Domineering CEO classic quotes, the domineering president falls in love with me, my sweet wife wants to run away. The domineering president doesn't love me, Mr. Lu's sweetheart. He also made a lot of marker marks. Teacher, these are the most frequent words I have summarized. I will try this tomorrow. Is it okay, teacher? Teacher, are you there? Heaven. Earth. Why do I have to turn off my phone when I go to bed? At night, Lu Yan sent me a message with a melancholy look. Teacher, I feel like she doesn't like domineering CEOs very much. I quickly replied, then just pass this type. Don't get involved again. He agreed, yeah, I think so too. Tomorrow she should be a clingy milk dog type. Teacher, can you teach me? In order to avoid repeating the same mistakes, I dare not slack off and carefully reminded, you just need to be a little cute, act like a spoiled child, and cling to her. But don't learn from what is said on the internet, it will be counterproductive. Well. And remember to call me sister. After sending the last message, a sly smile appeared on my face. He didn't understand at first, do I have to call her sister? I emphasized, yes, I must. He sent a concise message, okay, got it. Hey, Lu Yuan is going to call me sister. Although I am younger than him, I also have a sister dream. So I fell asleep with a smile, but woke up in fear. That is, I asked Lu Yuan to call me sister. I didn't ask him to call his sister over. At this moment, I looked at the smiling Lu Yi and the cute Lu Yuan next to me, and fell silent. Lu Yuan pulled my arm, well. My sister wants to see you. I was really dumbfounded. Lu Yuan thought I was not used to it for a while, what's the matter? Are you not awake yet? I shook my head mechanically. As a result, he winked at me and rubbed my forearm. Lu Yu looked at me gently, sister, Xiao Yu still has many shortcomings, please bear with me. The next day. I went to wash up. Lu Yuan screamed on the side, are you done washing? Can I come in to see you? I went to the toilet. Lu Yuan quacked outside the door, what are you doing? What took you so long? I went to the refrigerator to get some water. He was behind me. I couldn't stand it anymore and turned around. The result was a bang. I hit my forehead. Lu Yuan rubbed my forehead with a distressed look on his face, you don't have to be so anxious if you want to be close to me. After saying that, he hugged me in his arms and stroked my hair with his chin. You smell so good. Hug. I gave in. In order to avoid being struck by more lightning, I chose to stop in time. Disciple, I observed the sky at night and found that you are not suitable for strange moves recently. He was very puzzled, what do you mean? It's the previous move. Don't try it. You might get into a bloody disaster. But I still have 3 types that I haven't tried yet, and I don't have a reference control group. Thinking of Lu Yuan's stubbornness at work, I decided to go around it. How about this? I will give you a better way. Let her choose her favorite dress and send me the photo. I will help you draw a profile of that person based on the style of the dress. Lu Yuan was very surprised. Teacher, you can do this? Well, of course I can't do this. But who made him target me? Don't I know what I want? I pretended to be profound. This requires years of precipitation. You need to practice more. Lu Yuan's execution ability has always been very strong. As soon as I finished speaking, he rushed into the bedroom. I was leaning on the recliner. Lu Yuan put his hands in his pockets and raised his chin slightly. Will we go shopping in the afternoon? Seeing that I didn't respond, he added, buy you clothes. I didn't ask him to buy me clothes. Wouldn't it be necessary to put on makeup and wash your hair if I buy clothes? I quickly sent a message, if you want to see results quickly, you can just ask her what color she likes. Lu Yuan took out his mobile phone without changing his expression, swiped a few times, then looked at me deeply and coughed lightly, or what color do you like? Let someone make it for you. I touched my chin and pretended to think seriously, white. He nodded with a straight face, yeah. When Lu Yuan left, he didn't forget to close the door for me. Teacher, it's white. Is this enough information? Isn't it too little? How about I take her to buy a new dress, or ask someone to send her a few skirts to choose from? I quickly refused, no need. Who am I, your teacher? This is enough. According to my careful analysis, the type she likes should be a combination of Daniel Wu and Takeshi Kaneshiro. Lu Yuan. Teacher, you are talking nonsense again. I laughed, if you don't believe me, do what I say, and I guarantee she will obey you. Lu Yuan was shaken instantly, how? You just. I have to say that Lu Yuan is a very obedient student. When he was walking in front of me in his unbuttoned pajamas with his big abdominal muscles exposed, I smacked my lips. He has such a good figure, but why does he always cover himself up like a nun? 2 years. 2 whole years. I can only play the role of a pure and flawless little white rabbit, and dare not show any fantasy about his beautiful body. Not to mention touching it, I rarely even have a glimpse of it. At this moment, I looked at his well-defined muscle lines and finally showed a kind smile. Showing off his good figure frequently is just my first advice to him. There is another key point, you have to let me touch it. Lu Yuan had a tense face and seemed very cold, but the 2 faint blushes on his cheeks had betrayed him. He looked down at me with his height advantage and uttered a few emotionless words from between his teeth. I seem to have a fever. Touch it for me. I reached out and touched his forehead as he said. But he grabbed my wrist and fluttered his eyelids. This is not accurate. Go down. I stared at him. Blankly, huh? He grabbed my hand directly and went all the way down without saying anything. Nose bridge, lips, Adam's apple, chest muscles, abdominal muscles. He stopped. My face flushed. So, this is what it feels like to touch abdominal muscles. So hard, so strong, so addicted, I want to touch it again. I moved my fingers for some reason, and my fingertips drew a circle on the outline of his muscles. Luo Yuan froze instantly. He pursed his lips and quickly moved my hand away. Okay. How is it? Do you have a fever? I shook my head, a little hot, but I don't think I have a fever. I didn't lie, he was really hot. But I was too embarrassed to say whether he had a fever or not. Luo Yuan said, lightly, then turned and left. He turned around, and I could see, clearly, the auricles on both sides of this man were already red and almost dripping blood. It seems that he is a little bit straight. I am very satisfied with the results of the first phase of practical training. In order to let Luo Yuan feel my changes, I specially went to the kitchen to fry a love egg for him. But he didn't eat it. He picked up the plate and said he had to go back to the study to handle official business. I asked him to sit down and eat, but he didn't listen. Looking at his resolute back, I was a little hurt. This is the love egg I made carefully. Why doesn't he praise me? I angrily opened my phone, ready to use my second account to tell him to be more careful with me. As a result, a series of messages popped up. The first one was a picture. Isn't this my love egg? Luo Yuan, ha ha ha, teacher, let me show you, the love egg my wife made for me. So cute, so delicate, I can't bear to eat it at all. Teacher, what do you think? I seal it up and hide it in the bookcase. If I miss it, I can take it out and look at it anytime. It will stink, right? I was shocked and quickly typed, no, it will get moldy. If the room becomes smelly, your wife will dislike you. He was also shocked, really? What should I do then? I was a little speechless. Although this was indeed my first time cooking, it was not that bad. I thought about it and said, if you praise her for her beauty, and cooking skills, she will cook for you often. I regretted it as soon as I said it. Why did I dig a hole for myself? Just when I was about to withdraw, I saw Luo Yuan coming back with a plate. He looked at me with a cold gaze and slowly said, it's delicious. I didn't expect you to be so beautiful and so good at cooking. Yeah. It was quite comforting to hear. In the next few days, I asked Luo Yuan to do a lot of things he would never do before. He did them one by one without any objection. He tied his bangs into small bunches with a rubber band, changed his black pajamas to pink. He never woke me up in the morning. He was my human pillow when I went to bed at night. He handed me water when I coughed and massaged my back when I bent over. I was simply as happy as a god. I was almost forgetting everything. This also led to my desires growing day by day, and my demands becoming increasingly excessive. While watching TV, because I wanted to experience the feeling of being the heroine of an idol drama, I logged into my second account and sent a message to Luo Yuan, try it, push her against the wall and kiss her. Luo Yuan, who was sitting opposite me, changed his face. He looked at me cautiously, then covered his phone screen. Is this really okay? I replied to him impatiently, really, or on the sofa, you can use whatever you have. I watched Luo Yuan's ears gradually turn pink. But is this too sudden? Me, of course not. Do you still believe in the master? After sending this message, Luo Yuan never replied again. I waited for a long time, secretly glancing at him. There was no extra expression on his face, and he remained as cold as ever. Is he unwilling? I quickly buried my head and continued to send him messages, trying to persuade him. She must like this, don't worry. If you try it and it doesn't work, I will double it for you. Hey, don't be shy, young man. I didn't finish the last line. Because I don't know when Luo Yuan came over. His right knee was stuck on the sofa, and he pushed me down, imprisoned between the sofa and his chest. As if he had made a great determination, there was a kind of flame jumping in his eyes. My hand that was tapping the screen loosened. The phone fell beside Luo Yuan's knees. The kiss he was about to give was stagnant. I panicked and wanted to reach out to grab my phone. What are you doing? But the whole person was tightly circled by him, and I couldn't reach out except shouting. While struggling, Luo Yuan had picked up my phone. He swiped the screen a few times, his eyes narrowed slightly. My heart almost jumped out of my chest at that moment. It's over. It's over. Luo Yuan turned his head and looked at me, and almost gritted his teeth to say those words, Master of Substitute. Ling Ting, you. When he called my name, his tone was particularly dangerous. After 2 years of marriage, I am very familiar with his tone. It represents his mood of wanting to stab me at this moment. I shrank my neck and tried to play dumb. Luo Yuan suddenly laughed out of anger. I said, how could this master be so powerful? I turned my head and took a pillow to cover my face. I don't know anything. Luo Yuan is very strong. He waited for a while, pushed my pillow away. And the kiss fell down quickly and fiercely. Hiss, a little heavy. Do you like this? Just say it. I heard his ambiguous whisper with a teasing tone. I covered my eyes in shame. Nothing else to say. He is really good at it. I thought that after the trumpet was exposed, Luo Yuan would be furious and put me in the small dark room. After all, I should be the first person who dared to lie to him like this. But I didn't expect that he said nothing. Although I was a little breathless, I still buried my head deeply in the sofa. Help! I actually encouraged Luo Yuan to kiss me. And he found out. Luo Yuan looked at me with a playful look. So, this is your truest thought? I didn't, don't talk nonsense. He had no intention of letting me go, and continued to tease me. Master, are you going to sleep on my chest muscles tonight? Or, do you want me to continue showing my abs? AHHHHH. My brain has completely exploded. The shame of being exposed surrounds me. Luo Yuan didn't care. How do you feel after playing tricks on me for so long? I was trembling with fear, as if walking on thin ice. I was wrong. He smiled and stretched out his hand to rub my head. You are not wrong. You just want to touch my abs. What's wrong with that? I was a little stunned. Can I say that? I turned my head and found that he was looking at me with his chin propped up. His smile seemed to be full of poison, and his lips opened and closed, as if he was chanting some magic spell. If you like, I can do anything. After saying that, he suddenly leaned over and kissed me lightly. That's fine. While I was still wondering what he was doing, he grabbed my hand and reached into his clothes. That's fine. I opened my mouth wide. But he winked at me. I just don't know if my wish can be fulfilled, master. My mouth was faster than my brain. What wish? He raised an ambiguous arc at the corner of his mouth, leaned over and whispered a few words in my ear. My face flushed instantly. Luo Yuan was not in a hurry, and looked at me with a look of exploration and expectation. When I was just a little bit about to be blinded by lust, suddenly an idea flashed in my mind. When I used the trumpet before, there was something I hadn't asked him. Now that I have been exposed, I naturally have to ask clearly. 2 hours later. Luo Yuan, I and Zhao Xiaoman looked at each other in the living room. Because my family fell into poverty when I was young, Luo Yuan and I were not as close as he and Zhao Xiaoman. Zhao Xiaoman is the white moonlight that I have been imitating. She can be regarded as half of Luo Yuan's childhood sweetheart. At this moment, she was looking at Luo Yuan with tears in her eyes. You still can't let me go. Luo Yuan's face was ashen. I ate melons silently. 2 years ago, she also found me in this way, with her harmless eyes shedding little pearls drop by drop, crying so hard that I felt distressed. At that time, she was engaged to the son of another oil company because of family arrangements. She wiped her tears and said to me, Xiaoling, you know, you is never such a rude person. I'm getting married next month. I know he can't let me go. Although it's unfair to you, but please take care of him. I looked at her face that was 60% similar to mine, and thought I suddenly understood. It turned out that Luo Yuan suddenly invited me to marry him in order to heal his wounds. I said solemnly, don't worry, sister, I will take good care of Luo Yuan. Zhao Xiaoman seemed a little surprised by my reaction. But I didn't wait for her to say anything more. I patted my chest and left. Vow to be a perfect substitute. Now think about it, if it weren't for her performance, I wouldn't have pretended to be a pure and innocent little white rabbit for so many years. Zhao Xiaoman was still sobbing. In the past 2 years, I occasionally heard about her experience after marriage. I heard that her husband doesn't really take her seriously because his family is more powerful. She's having a lot of fun outside. Luo Yuan interrupted her with a cold face. Miss Zhao, apart from our friendship as classmates in girls' generation, it seems that there is no intersection between you and me. Zhao Xiaoman looked up helplessly. You. Luo Yuan didn't give her much chance to react. He stood up and looked down at her. Because of your behavior 2 years ago, there was a misunderstanding between me and my wife. Now, please explain it to her clearly. Zhao Xiaoman looked innocent. I have something to explain. I looked at her pleading eyes and turned my eyes away silently. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have worked so long in vain. In fact, I still have resentment. Seeing that Zhao Xiaoman was unmoved, Luo Yuan didn't say much, but took out his mobile phone and made a call. I don't know what he said. 10 minutes later, Zhao Xiaoman burst into tears and snot. Wow, Xiaoling, I was wrong, I shouldn't have said that to you. After Zhao Xiaoman left home, Luo Yuan's icy face turned melancholy in a second. I touched his face. What's wrong? He stared at me and pouted. I didn't expect that you would misunderstand me for so long. I didn't know what to say for a moment, so I could only stiffen my neck. Then you are the same. Luo Yuan's handsome face turned red. Ever since I told him the story behind those photos, he always threatened to fire his assistant. I laughed at him for being stupid and putting the blame on others. If he was not happy, he would turn out the chat records between him and me. Master, take a look, which one should be implemented? Today, I could only be helpless and furious. Although I was the one who proposed those things at the beginning. But I also have to save my face. Can't he pretend to explore it himself and then find that I just like it? Master, you said I learned well. Why do you say no now? I couldn't say anything, so I could only bite my lips tightly to show my rebelliousness. As a result, when he pinched my waist, I couldn't control some sounds from the corners of my mouth. He lowered his head and kissed me. Well, that's good. Don't hold it in me. I finally know. When this person was studying, he really said what he meant. On the surface, he looked gentle, but in private, I also asked Luo Yuan why he liked me. He looked embarrassed, and there was some resentment between his eyebrows. When we were young, you clearly said that you would marry me when you grew up. When I was confused, he found a camphor ring from somewhere. You used this to propose to me, and said that if I didn't marry you, I would be second-hand goods. And no one would want me. Me. Thinking about it carefully, it seems to be true. I used to take advantage of handsome boys. Forced confession and forced threats are just like playing house. Luo Yuan, this handsome boy, is of course my first target. But I restrained myself when I grew up. After all, I don't have the confidence. Luo Yuan was a little aggrieved, I remember it clearly, but you forgot me as soon as you turned your head. I rushed into his arms. No, I didn't. Forget. I forgot but didn't admit it. But Luo Yuan is so innocent. He actually remembered it for so long. Luo Yuan pinched my face. You pinched me like this when you were a child. I thought about it, it doesn't seem to be the case. I pinched him harder. How can I be so gentle? Before I could say anything, he put his long arm around my shoulders and suddenly said forcefully, now, I'm going to punish you. Me. Really punish me. Not long after, I heard that Zhao Xiaoma's company was terminated. The reason was suspected of illegal operation and uneven products. I laughed. Does this count as revenge? He said seriously, no, this can only be regarded as a reasonable choice of cooperation partner. Then he changed the subject, but isn't it inappropriate to still think about others at this time? After saying that, he leaned over and bit my shoulder. I put my arms around his neck, my face flushed. Later, my voice gradually broke. I don't want to think about it anymore. I don't want to think about it anymore. I only think about you. You. He put his arms around my waist, his tone ambiguous. Now, it's too late.